Hello everyone. Today we're going to work on classwork 1111, and what we're going to be talking about is called the angle bisector theorem. So what's an angle bisector? Well, we know that from proofs, and we know that an angle bisector divides an angle into two congruent triangles. Oops, sorry, into two congruent angles. Describe the angle relationships formed when parallel lines are cut by a transversal. Well, we have all kinds of angle pairs, but the angle pairs are either congruent or supplementary. Okay, and hopefully you know all the vocab that goes with that. What are the properties of an isosceles triangle? Well, we could say that two sides are congruent, and just remember the vocab that goes with that. The congruent sides are called the legs, and two angles are congruent, and those are called the base angles. All right, the vertex would be the non-congruent angle, and the base would be the non-congruent side. Okay, if we take a look at this, we're saying that angle A is being bisected by AD, and they meet at point D. We want to see if we can see any observable relationships with respects to the side lengths of the triangle. Well, if you look here, 6 is to 12, that would give me 1/2. And 4.04 to 8.08 would give me 1/2 also. All right. So the angle bisector splits the third side proportionally. So I could look at it two different ways. So I could look at it as 6 is to 12 equals 4.04 over 8.08. If I cross multiply, you guys might want to, yeah, you're definitely going to need a calculator. So if you didn't do it when I said it in the instructions, you should go get it now. Stop the video. So 48.48 equals 48.48. Of course, you could use the reciprocals here. You still get the same cross multiplication. Or you can say that 6 is to 12 as 4.04 is to 8.08, as long as you do the corresponding parts. That's the same thing as before. Sorry, 6 is to, cross that out. 6 is to 4.04 as 12 is to 8.08. Okay. 6.808 and 12 with the 4.04. You'll get the same thing. Okay. So actually, I want you to mark number 1 for homework because the numbers are nice on that and you won't freak out. Number 2 is the same question, only with different numbers. Okay, let me straighten it out a little bit. Okay, so the words just tell me everything that's labeled here. So I know that y is to x, so y over x would equal 15 over 12. Now, the problem is that I have two variables in this proportion, and I can't solve with two variables. The other equation that I know, right, is right here. And the equation is x plus y equals 8. So if I want everything to be in terms of x, if I subtract the x, I get y equals 8 minus x. All right, so that should look pretty good. So instead of y, I'm going to sub in 8 minus x. So 8 minus x over x equals 15 over 12. When I cross multiply, I get 15x equals 12 times 8 minus x. So 15x equals 12 times 8 is 96. All right, remember you have to distribute here. Minus 12x. So I add the 12x to both sides. And my new equation says 27x equals 96. Divide both sides by 27. And x equals 32 over 9. So what you should have got on your calculator was 3.5 repeating, but change that to a fraction because we have to go mess with it in a minute. All right, because when I try to figure out what y is, I have to do y equals 8 minus 32 over 9, and that would equal 40 over 9. All right, 32 and 40, that's 72 over 9, and that gives me my 8. Okay, if you want to check it, you can do the cross multiplication with the values that you got. So x equals 32 over 9, y equals 40 over 9. All right, as I said, the numbers on number 1 are a little bit easier, so you should be okay with that. All right, now this one we have to draw the picture for. They did not give us a picture. So I just have to draw a triangle. And the angle bisector splits the opposite side of the triangle. So now we're going to make this the angle bisector into lengths 5 and 6. The perimeter of the triangle is 33. So I'm going to now find the length of the other two sides. So I'm going to call this x, I'm going to call this y. So I know that x plus y plus this third side is 11 equals 33. So x plus y equals 22. So y equals 22 minus x. If you want to go change it in your picture, you can, because this is going to be 22 minus x. All right, now you can set up your proportion. There's a few different ways to do it, and I'm going to do it. X over 5 equals 22 minus x over 6. When I cross multiply, I get 6x equals 5 times 22 minus x. So 6x equals 5 times 22. If you use your calculator, you should get 110. Some of you can do that in your head, I know. Minus 5x. Add 5x to both sides. And I get 11x equals 110. Divide by 11, divide by 11, so x equals 10. Now we said y equals 22 minus x, so 22 minus 10, so y equals 12. Double check yourself, make sure that your perimeter is 33. So 10 and 12, 22 and 11, that's 33, so I know I'm right. Okay, number 4, the numbers are kind of funky, so make sure you have your calculators handy. All right, I'm in the picture totally. This is what makes things annoying. All right, let's change that to what we used to call an improper fraction. And so we do 6 times 8 plus 1, so that should be 49 over 6. So EF equals 49 over 6. All right, I'm going to put an X and a Y here because that's what they want me to find. So actually, I'm going to put where I'm going to put my answers. X equals FG equals X equals, and EG equals Y equals. All right, so I'm all ready to go here. Now, I don't want the Y. So even with this funky number we have here, we still have to say, well, if I found X to find Y, I would subtract whatever that was. So Y equals 49 over 6 minus X. Okay? So let's set up a proportion. I'm going to say X is to 6. X is to 6, so I would have to say Y, which I named 49 over 6 minus X over 8. Okay, now some of you were able to cross multiply without writing it down. I don't think you should do that on this one. So 8X equals 6 times 49 over 6 minus X. So 8X equals, well, this actually works out really nicely. 6 times 49 over 6 is 49 minus 6X. Add 6X to both sides. So I get 14X equals 49. Divide both sides by 14. And I believe you get... All right, that one I'm not going to change to a fraction because there's no repeat. So I'm going to leave it as 3.5. All right, I can go up here and fill that in. But now Y is going to equal 49 over 6 minus 3.5. And if you put that in your calculator, you get Y equals 14 over 3. I forgot to write down what the decimal equivalent with the repeat is. Well, actually, I could do that real quick. 4.6 repeating, I believe. 14 over 4. Sorry, 14 over 3. One more time. Yeah, 4.6 repeating. So either 14 over 3 or 4.6 with the repeat over the 6. Okay? The numbers are much nicer on number 5, so I would like you to do that one for homework. I would really like you to try number 6 for homework. I'm going to give you a little hint here. You need to be covering, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triangles here. Now each one of these, so FA is bisecting BAE. So that should give you a little hint as to how to get started. You're going to have to write a couple of equations for it. Okay, and the numbers are not horrible on that. They are decimals, but not horrible. Okay, I don't really want to do this whole proof, but I do want to talk about a couple things here. All right, it says that AD is 4 and DC is 8. And BE bisects this angle here. All right, so for this triangle right here, let me come down a little bit. For this triangle right here, you have an angle bisector. So I'm going to call this X, and I'm going to call this Y. Now I can see that X to Y will have to be 8 to 4, or 2 to 1, or Y to X is 1 to 2, or X to 8 is Y to 4. All right, so I can figure that out by messing around with it. All right, it also says that ED is congruent to DB. So I'm just going to put W here, just so we could talk about this a little bit. I'm going to call this angle 1 and angle 2. All right, so since CD to AD is 8 to 4, or 2 to 1, okay, X to Y has to be 2 to 1. And then I'm just using the angle bisector theorem. Okay, now, it's really important the order that they gave these to me in. All right, because they're talking triangle ADB. So ADB, similar to triangle CEB. All right, because they have to give it to me in order, obviously angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. And there's your double B's in the position. So if I line these up underneath each other, my B goes with my B for my yellow and blue triangles. Well, now let's take a look. What is A? Well, A, I'm going to mark with a single, you know what, I'm going to do a double scoop. And that means that C has to get a double scoop. All right, that leaves D in the yellow. Matching up with E in the blue. Okay. Now, the reason I labeled both of these W is because they equal each other. So it doesn't really matter what the number is. If we were doing a full-blown proof, we would have to use substitution and make these two. Actually, I would make EB 2 of DB. Okay, but we're not going to do that whole thing. Okay. So I know that X to Y is 2 to 1. Let's look at CB. If I look at CB, it's across from the triple. It lines up with AB. Okay? So CB to AB equals X to Y, which we know equals 2 to 1 by the angle bisector theorem. Okay, the next one we want to look at is EB to DB. Okay, so EB is 2W, because I just add these two together. And DB, right here, is W. So that equals 2 to 1. So I'm using this side with this side, and this side with this side. Okay, so one more time, across from the triple, across from the double, one more time, across from the triple, across from the triple, there's my AB. EB is going to be across from the double, and DB is across from the double. So I know I have my corresponding sides. So if I have this side, and angle 1, and I have this side, and angle 2, I would be using the side angle side similarity theorem to prove that these two triangles are similar to each other. Okay, so if you would, just do the homework. Please make sure you submit the homework and the classwork when it's all completed. All right, thanks. Have a good day.